We are going to do a little bit more in our Teams overview. We have 3 things to show today. So Megan and I are going to cover how to create a conversation from a wiki section, how to, when to create a new conversation versus reply to an existing conversation, and then how to add a subject line to a conversation. So Megan, let's give the wiki section a try first. So let's go to the wiki, create maybe something in the wiki section, and then we'll see if we can create a conversation out of it. So that is the title of the section. Then Megan is adding some text to the body of the wiki. Okay, so there's an icon off to the right-hand side. The the ellipses give you a few options, but there's also a bit of something off to the right of that looks like a bubble. So we can show this particular section in a conversation. And this conversation basically will show up in the posts area, but refer back to the wiki. So it's kind of helpful in the sense to give context to the wiki section. So go ahead and type, I guess you can type me, but you can mention us in the post. All right then, go ahead and launch and then see what happens. And it might be also sort of helpful to go to the posts, and then you can kind of see where the conversation got created, and then there is a reference to the wiki section that if you click on it, you kind of go back to the wiki page. So this is helpful because, unfortunately, the wiki is not searchable. So in the search field, the conversations in the chat are very searchable. However, the wiki sections are not, at least not yet. So we find it helpful to go and create context in the conversation to point back to the wiki entry. Okay, so the next topic is, I guess, when to use a new conversation and then when to reply to an existing. So I think there's an opportunity for us to kind of talk a little bit about conversations in general. So I think conversations or posts in a channel are very helpful for situations where more than one person might have to work with it. So for example, David Cervelli and I were working on a proposal. So we ended up creating a conversation in the post section as opposed to doing it via chat, partly because we felt that somewhere downstream, people will need to see something about how the proposal was developed. So anyways, I think that is a prime reason for using a conversation or a post. The next bit of question was, okay, well, when do I create a new conversation, and then when do I reply to an existing one? So Megan, what is your thought about that?
My thought is, one, obviously, if you're replying to someone regarding something they've already posted in Teams, you should reply and continue the conversation that way versus starting a new conversation and then you'll have 2 conversations about the same thing and it just creates confusion. And then you could also do a search up here at the top to see to either reference back and find if you know someone has made a conversation about it, or if you're unsure if someone's made a conversation, you could go search and see if there's one already and you could reply. If you don't find one, then create a new one.
Okay, very good. Maybe by way of example, so the ones you have up on the screen right now are probably good examples. So I had put our Accounting 101 PowerPoint file in one conversation. You had a collection status post that refers to clients that you're working on for collections. And then just now, at the very bottom, is our post that related to the wiki section that we created for our example. So these are all pretty good examples of things that are pretty different. Different in the sense that the subject matter is unrelated. However, if for example, I were to kind of think of something that related to our conversation, so the conversation that you just created. So for example, I might see your how to create a conversation 101, and then I might say, I have something to add. So maybe a favor then, go into the reply. So by way of example, I can do the reply and then say, one drawback is that there is there's no way to search the wiki, and whenever you create a post like you just did, unfortunately you can't edit the post, which is a little bit of a drawback because I tend to go back and fix things in my posts. So I think there's a couple of drawbacks that relate to wikis. One is that it's not searchable, and the other is that when you create a conversation from a wiki entry, you can't edit it. Okay, very good. Then if we had another topic, so say you and I were working on something that related to, I guess a reconciliation of the retainers account. So that is pretty much unrelated to collections, unrelated to Accounting 101, unrelated to creating a conversation. So in that particular situation, I think you'd argue that a brand new post would be warranted. Okay, very good. Then let's try our last bit of something for today, which is this notion of subject line. So this is something that Danny found recently, and maybe Megan could explain a little bit about why this is helpful.
So prior to finding out that we could do this, if we scroll up here, we basically had to create a subject line. And you could do it by tagging someone or saying, I'm trying to find a good example. Process document for big time billing found below. Even though that's the subject, it doesn't really stand out very much, and it would be very easy to miss it while scrolling and looking for it on this page. So basically, subject line is bigger and kind of in a bold font, and so it helps you identify the conversations better. So this one says Accounting 101, PowerPoint file. Here's the file. You can also write in the body, and we're going to show you to do that. So you go down here to start a new conversation, and then you're going to click on this A and the little pencil thing. It says format. And then here is where you're going to add your subject. And then once you're done, you can tag people, you can do bullets, you can basically format this body however you want to. Once you're done, you're going to click this, and there's your conversation.
Very good. One more advantage of that methodology that we discussed a little bit earlier is that when you're typing in the form the way it is right now, when you hit return, the message goes. However, when you're using that format mode of data entry, the returns don't send right away. The returns just act normally the way you would expect them to. So I think that's, maybe Megan could demonstrate that briefly. So maybe go ahead and do one reply to the same message. Just type one line and hit return. So as soon as you hit return, the message went. However, if you do the same thing by using the format, then you can hit return as you please, basically, and everything works fine. So I found this to be very helpful because I would invariably hit return and send the message right away from the other interface.
Yeah, and I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but if you are in a reply, you'd go here to edit, and to be able to go to the next line, you would hit Shift Enter, and that would make you go to the next line without sending it right away. Mm-hmm. But when you are editing, you do get this option of a cancel and a done. So when you're editing your post, you can hit enter, just like if you were in a brand new format for your conversation. But initially, you're going to have to push Shift Enter or return in order to go to the next line.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, so I think that does it for our overview today. Anything else you want to add, Megan?
Nope.
Okay, then let's call it for today.